I tried to be an adult. To stay distant. But he looked at me like I was still worth wanting, even when my own husband couldn't see me. I told myself it was wrong. But by the time I pushed him away, he was already too deep. My name is Clara. I'm 39 years old, and I've spent the past 2 years slowly dissolving into someone I barely recognize. I never thought I'd be the woman saying something like this out loud, but here I am, heart in my mouth, hands shaking as I try to make sense of a story I wish I could rewrite. I used to feel safe. Sexy, even. Alec, my husband, was the kind of man who made me feel grounded when the world spun too fast. For a long time, I believed we were real. We laughed in bed, we cooked barefoot together, we argued over silly things like who left the stove on. There was a rhythm. A closeness. His hands used to know me. But somewhere along the way, that tenderness soured into something routine. Like I was being held, but not seen. Kissed, but not tasted. Touched, but not wanted. I remember one night, this was about a year ago, I leaned into him on the couch, just craving warmth. He pulled me in, automatically. His arm looped around me, but it felt like duty. Not desire. His lips brushed my forehead, dry and impersonal, as if checking something off a list. That's when the slow burn of loneliness started to dig into me. I kept brushing it off. Blamed work stress. Hormones. His migraines. Anything but the truth. Because what kind of woman admits she feels invisible in her own home? But the moment I truly felt it, the moment the air shifted, was the morning his son, Caleb, came home from college for the summer. It was nothing dramatic. Just a glance across the kitchen. He was pouring coffee, shirtless, groggy-eyed. I said good morning, and he looked at me, really looked, with curiosity, with warmth. And Alec? Alec didn't look at me like that anymore. That's when I knew something was about to change. Something already had. Caleb had only been back a week, and already the air in the house felt too warm. Or maybe it was just me. Alec, always efficient, always on the move, had just finished a 24-hour shift. He's a paramedic. A damn good one, too. Saving lives by day, dozing off on the couch by night with his boots still on. He thinks that's how he shows love. Service. Stability. Sacrifice. But me? I needed something else. Not a pat on the shoulder or a distracted kiss goodnight. I needed him to see me again, really see me. Last night, I tried. I lit candles. I wore that soft gray camisole he used to love. We crawled into bed, and his hands found my hips. It should have been sweet, a reconnection. But it felt abrupt. Like he skipped the conversation and went straight to the punctuation. Alec, I whispered. He kept moving, not unkindly, just out of rhythm with me. Hey, I tried again, more gently. Could we just talk for a second? He paused, blinked, pulled back. Talk. Now? His tone wasn't cruel. Just tired. Confused. I sat up, hugging my knees. I don't know. I miss us. I miss the way we used to. His sigh was soft but sharp. I'm trying, Clara. I came home. I'm here. I don't know what else you want from me. And just like that, the moment closed. I rolled away, burying my face in the pillow, wishing I hadn't said anything at all. In the hallway, I heard Caleb's door creak open. He was still awake. And somehow, I felt more known by his silence than by my husband's embrace. It was Saturday morning, and Alec made pancakes. That was his thing, weekend breakfast, like nothing could be wrong if the syrup was warm. I sat at the counter, smiling through the steam, trying to pretend that things felt normal. He brushed past me, kissed my cheek, and his hand found the small of my back. I didn't move. But inside, I froze. It wasn't that I didn't love him. That was the problem, I did. But love didn't feel like enough anymore. Not the kind of love that came in habits and duty. I needed something slower, more thoughtful. Not this constant pressure to respond, to perform closeness just because we were alone. He plated my pancakes, kissed my shoulder again, and whispered, "You look good in that robe." I gave a half smile. "Thanks." When I turned toward the sink to rinse a cup, he smacked my butt playfully. That used to make me laugh. It used to mean he was in the mood, and I'd feel wanted. Today, it just made me flinch. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to ruin the morning. Again. Later, he came up behind me while I was folding laundry. Wrapped his arms around my waist, buried his face in my neck. "I miss you," he murmured. "I'm right here," I said flatly, still folding. He turned me gently to face him and kissed me. His mouth was soft, familiar. But I felt blank. Like I was watching a movie of someone else being kissed. He pulled back slightly. "What is it?" "I don't know," I said, shrugging. "I'm tired, maybe." He studied me for a moment. "Then let me go." I turned back to the pile of socks and shirts, blinking too hard, wishing I knew how to explain. Why does everything have to turn into sex? It started with grilled salmon. That's the cruel part, it wasn't even a fight. We were at the dinner table. Alec lit a candle, poured wine, and made my favorite meal. Caleb had gone out with friends, so it was just us. A quiet evening. No distractions. He was trying. "You look beautiful tonight," he said, his voice low, warm. He reached across the table and brushed my hand with his thumb. I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. My chest ached. "Thanks," I said. I took a sip of wine. I wanted to say something kind back, but the words got stuck. The silence that followed was too long, too loaded. Alec finally broke it. "Clara, I'm trying to hold this together. But I don't know what you want anymore." I blinked hard. My throat tightened. "I want to feel like I matter to you," I said, barely above a whisper. His jaw clenched. "What do you think I've been doing?" "Cooking, working, coming home, showing up." "You think that's not love?" "It's routine." I snapped before I could stop myself. "It's autopilot. You touch me and I don't even feel like I'm in the room." The words echoed too loud in the quiet house. Alex sat back, his expression hollow. "Jesus," he muttered. "Is this about Caleb?" I stared at him, stunned. "What?" "I see how you look at him. Like he's some mystery you haven't figured out yet." "You think I haven't noticed?" The shame hit me like a slap. I stood up, knocking my chair back. "You think I asked for this? For your son to look at me like I exist when my husband barely knows when I'm hurting?" Tears welled up and broke before I could hold them back. My hands trembled. Alex said nothing. Just stared at me, stunned and silent. I left the table without clearing the plates. In the bathroom, I sat on the edge of the tub, wiping at my face with shaking fingers. What did I just do? What kind of woman lets this happen? The reflection in the mirror didn't look like me. 2 weeks. That's how long it's been since the salmon dinner. The house feels different now. Quieter, but not in a peaceful way, more like something sacred broke and we're both pretending we can't hear the shards under our feet. Alec goes to work early and comes home later. We exchange words, not conversations. The only time our skin touches is when we accidentally brush shoulders passing in the hallway. I watch him sometimes, folding laundry, rinsing out his coffee cup, rubbing the back of his neck like he's trying to squeeze the tension out of his bones. He looks heavy. Like he's carrying something that has no name. He hasn't brought up Caleb again. Maybe he regrets saying it. Or maybe he believes it was true. And I miss him. I miss the way he used to run his fingers down my spine before bed. I miss laughing over nothing. I miss who we were before things got so tangled. But every time I think about saying something, my throat closes up. What would I even say? Sorry I pushed you away. Sorry your son sees me clearer than you do. Sorry I still don't know what I want. I caught him staring at me yesterday. Just for a moment. I was watering the plants, and I looked up to find him watching me from the doorway, his expression unreadable. We didn't speak. Sometimes I wonder if he misses me too, or if he's already mourning what we used to be. Last night, I lay in bed beside him and listened to the quiet between us. I could feel his sadness like static, low and persistent. I reached for his hand, hovered for a second, then pulled back. And now, I have to decide. Do I try again? Do I wade back into the wreckage and try to build something from the ashes? Or do I walk away before we forget how to love each other completely? I found Alec in the garage tonight, fixing a leaking pipe under the laundry sink. Shirt soaked, forehead streaked with dirt. He looked up at me like he wasn't sure if I'd come to say goodbye or just bring a towel. I handed him one anyway. He took it without a word. We stood there a while, the silence not quite painful, just full of things we'd never learned to say in time. I'm sorry, I said finally. For disappearing. For making you feel like you weren't enough. He dried his hands slowly. You didn't disappear, he said. You just stopped letting me in. I nodded, tears burning behind my eyes. Maybe I didn't know how to stay. He stepped closer, gently, like approaching something fragile. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear, that old, familiar gesture, and pressed a soft kiss to my forehead. I love you, he said. But I don't know if I'm what you need anymore. My breath caught. Neither of us cried. Maybe we were too tired. Maybe we both knew the kindest thing we could do now was let the curtain fall quietly. That night, he slept on the couch. Not in anger. Not in punishment. Just space. In the dark, I lay in bed, listening to the distant hum of the television he hadn't turned off. I wasn't sure what tomorrow would bring. But for the first time in a long time, I felt something honest in the stillness. It wasn't love. Not anymore. But it was grace. So, this is where we landed. Me, in a quiet house. Alec's toothbrush is still in the holder. His jacket still hangs by the door. But we haven't really touched in weeks, and maybe that's the truest sign, not absence, but the ghost of presence. You want to know what I learned? I learned that desire is not the same as devotion. That you can love someone deeply and still feel completely alone in the same bed. That routine is not intimacy, it's just comfort dressed up as connection. I used to think sex was the glue. The sign was okay. But what I really wanted was to be known. To be held without it meaning something had to follow. To cry without feeling like a burden. To be kissed just to be kissed, not as a prelude or a reward. Alec tried. In his way. And I don't blame him. He gave me the only language he knew. I just stopped speaking it. And Caleb? He was a mirror I didn't ask for. He looked at me like I still had light in me. Like I was more than just someone's wife. But that wasn't love. That was hunger for something I'd lost in myself. The truth is, none of this was about another man. Not really. It was about me, realizing how far I'd drifted from my own center. How I let silence become normal. How I mistook being chosen for being cherished. I don't know what comes next. Maybe Alec and I find a new rhythm. Maybe we let go completely. But either way, I'm not afraid anymore. Because now, I know what I need, to be touched with intention. To be heard without fixing. To be seen, even in the quiet. And if that's too much to ask, then I'd rather walk alone than sleep beside someone who thinks my sadness is a mystery too hard to solve.